Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeannie Ralston and the co-founder of Next Tribe. And I'm excited that you're here because we're going to talk about Tuscany and art and food and the way to see it without the crowd, way to see Florence, etc., without crowds, and get a really good insider look with our Italophobe. Is that really a word?
Is that
Italophobe?
a word?
I think anyway, um, my good friend Shannon Fassler is going to be the guide for the Tuscany the holidays trip, and she has been teaching art for years. She's an accomplished artist in her own right. She runs trips through Italy. One so far for us. This will be her second one for us, but for other groups, she's done group trips in Italy. She's fun. She's ferocious. She's a nutcase in the best way. That's a compliment.
Thank you.
It's like saying you're a goofball because that's my favorite word for people I love. So you're gonna have a great time with Shannon. I've spent a lot of time with her in Italy in May. So what we're gonna do, how we're gonna run this is we have a presentation of like what you'll be doing and seeing in Tuscany on this trip. And then afterwards, we'll be opening it up to questions. You can ask questions of Shannon or me or whatever. And so we'll wait for the questions till after we do the whole presentation. Now just give me a moment because this, I told Shannon, the most awkward part for me is going to share my screen. So here we go. Share. And then we're here. Okay. So here we go with our presentation about Tuscany, the holiday. So now, Shannon, can you can talk a little bit. I mean, I didn't even give you a chance to talk about your experience, but you spent a lot of time in Florence.
I've spent a lot of time in Florence. I always tell people that Florence is my heart. I love the city. I love it when it's crowded. I love when it's hot. I love when it's cold. I love it when it's empty. It's truly a special, magical place. And my favorite thing to do is share it with people. And not only share Florence, but Italian, a little bit of Italian culture, a little bit of Italian history, a little bit of the Italian political history in the time of the Renaissance, because the city is a walking history book, basically. Um, so my background, just really quickly, as Jeannie said, I'm an artist and an art historian. I have been taking private students. I've been taking study abroad trips, college study abroad trips, and private tour groups to Italy for, I think I looked the other day, I think it's like 11 years. Um, it never, every year I'm honored and grateful to be there, and it never ceases to blow my mind and amaze me. It's never getting old, even though it's old. It's really old. But look, Jeannie knows this. My favorite thing to do is share this place with people. And so we will leave the United States of America on the 12th or earlier, depending, but we will meet in Florence on the 13th of December. And the entire city will be lit up for Christmas. Every church will have what's called a presby, which is a nativity scene. But when I say nativity scene, I'm not talking about like mantle top nativity. I'm talking about like sometimes they're life size, sometimes they're, you walk through them. They're pretty amazing. There'll be lights everywhere. It's going to be pretty amazing. The weather, in my opinion, it'll be really nice. It'll probably be in the 50s and low 60s, which, I'm in Austin, Texas right now, so please take me there now. It's really hot here. So, not to worry, I know all the best leather shops if you're unprepared for cold weather. So we will get there, we will get oriented. Do you want to go to
Yes,
the hotel possibly? The next
yes,
slide?
yes. Thank you. As I
Yeah.
can't do it. Oh, God. See, it's the most, oh, there we go.
Yeah. So we are going to, so when you fly into Florence, if you choose to fly directly into Florence, there are options. You will take a taxi from the tiniest, cutest little airport you've ever seen to the Hotel Kalimala. And it is literally in the center of the historical part of Florence. There are two locations, and it is
Mm-hmm.
really special, kind of a small, almost boutique hotel. It was started by a woman who is also an artist, and it's still owned by her. It's still privately owned, and the hotel is filled with her beautiful art, which is really spectacular. It's a well-appointed hotel. It's clean. It's new. The interior of the rooms are new and updated. The beds are comfortable. You will not be disappointed. They have a fantastic rooftop bar and restaurant, which we will be enjoying. And everything in Florence is walkable from this location. Everything in Florence is walkable, but especially from where we will be. It's very walkable from where we will be. So I can talk more about that for those of you that have maybe been to Florence before. I can talk about exactly where the hotel is, and give you kind of a lay of the land if you would like later. Yeah.
And that's where I got the word Italophile.
Oh,
I had to look it up, and it's actually a word. So yes.
okay.
And I'm just going to say something about when we were in uh, Umbria, which Shannon was part of the creativity retreat in Umbria, and I had done it twice. So I'd done the creativity retreat in 2023, and then again in May. And this past May was your first time leading that trip, but I just could not believe the depth you gave us on every time we went somewhere. You already knew so much about the artist, the architecture, the history. I was just blown away. So I'm going to say that we're not overstating it. You're a teacher, you're a historian, you love this stuff, you love Italy, and we're just thrilled that you're going to be doing this with
That's really, really nice of you to say, Jeannie. Thank you. I consider myself somebody who knows like just enough to get in trouble about a lot of things. Um, so, I'm not like a really specific art historian. I know a lot of things about a lot of things. And Florence is wonderful. That's the Ponte Vecchio behind my giant hair, which I don't know what that's doing there. Yes, the river always looks like that. No, you don't want to swim in it. Um,
Especially in December.
yeah, especially in December. Yeah, so I don't have anything else to say about okay, so Hidden Florence. Uh, so instead of going, on the typical tour to, walk, I mean, I was just there. And you see these massive groups of tours with somebody holding a little flag, and everybody's got the little, whisper systems in, and they're like walking around Florence saying, "This is this, and this is this," and they're there for a day, and they're hitting the highlights, right? They're hitting the Uffizi and the Accademia and the Ponte Vecchio and the, all the main things. We are more going to explore the artisans, the artist district, where you have craftspeople that have been making shoes the same way for hundreds of years. We're going to explore a couple of really fantastic women's workshops and artisans. We're going to get a little bit of a walking history of Florence, because Florence, like I said, it's laid out it's very easy to explain history from 1300 to 1700 by walking through Florence, because it's laid out perfectly for that. We're going to get off the beaten path. We're going to go to some kind of neighborhood restaurants, as opposed to the big, the ones that on TripAdvisor and the ones that are on, those are great, but we're gonna kind of get away from those a little bit. We're gonna do some Italian street food, which you may or may not love. The food will be amazing, but the standing and eating it, maybe not so much, but it'll be amazing any way you look at it. We are going to see David, because I was told that you have to see David. You cannot go to Florence without seeing David. So David is really the only, like, I don't know, traditional Florentine thing we're going to see. In addition, we will be going to a fantastic Helen Frankenthaler show that is opening in October. And I'll talk to you about who she is and what she was about. And it's quite a gift that we're going to be there when the show is going to be open. And you're going to get some hands-on creativity. You're going to get to make some things, no skill required, no previous knowledge required, no judgment of any kind will
Love
be
that.
happening. But it'll allow you to experience one, we're going to make a fresco. So it'll allow you to see that process so that when you're looking and traveling and you're looking at frescoes, you have a little bit more depth of knowledge and a little bit more of an understanding of the technical process. It's a one of the oldest painting techniques in existence. You're going to gild something, which means cover it in gold, which will also be fun. I've never even done that really to this level, so I'm very much looking forward to that. So it's going to be really focused on traditional Italian Renaissance and pre-Renaissance craft. Again, absolutely no experience or skill or art. People say, "Oh, I'm not artistic." You don't have to define yourself in any way to enjoy these things that we're going to be doing. Um, Accessible to everybody. Oh, this is my favorite. I love this. I don't love to cook, but I love to eat. So here we go. Um, so this is probably my favorite cooking class I've ever taken. I do it every year. Never gets old. We're going to meet a guide at a location just 15-minute walk from the hotel, and the guide is going to take us through what's called the Mercato Centrale, which is the central market, and it's a huge indoor farmers market. And we're going to go through the farmers market, and the guide is going to lead us around and tell us about the different products that you can buy, and what is specific to Florence and what Florence is known for, and how to look at the different foods. And then we're actually going to buy all of the ingredients that we're going to then cook. So then we're going to leave the market, and we're going to get on a kind of a small, like a van, and we're going to drive about 15 minutes outside of Florence into the hillside to this beautiful villa, where we're going to spend all day eating and cooking. So I don't know if you like eating and cooking. I don't know if you like even if you don't like cooking. It starts with I think I'm trying to remember. I just did this a couple of weeks ago. The first thing you do is we make bruschetta with tomatoes that we just bought at the market. And then we're going to learn to make pasta, as you can see in these photos. And then we're going to make a traditional Tuscan bolognese, which is different than other bolognese. And then we're going to make a roasted pork loin and roasted potatoes. I'm going to be drinking wine the whole time. And then we're going to make tiramisu. And Jeannie, no, not Jeannie, Marcy was asking me, do we need to plan dinner for that night? And I'm like, oh Lord, are you kidding? But some of you might want to eat later, but I will tell you, it's a lot of food. It's 7 hours, the majority of the day. You're never bored. You're always putting something in your mouth or using your hands for something. It's taught by an Italian grandmother, who doesn't speak any English. So there's a translator there. And she sings while she's cooking and teaching, and it's just really an amazing experience. And the property itself is stunningly beautiful with fantastic views. So I don't know anyone that will be disappointed in this particular activity. All right, I think
Yeah.
I got that. Yeah, okay. Christmas markets. So the one you're looking at here is in front of a church called Santa Croce. Um, it is the second largest church in all of Florence. And this is the market that stays open for the longest, the most amount of dates. And it is styled in the traditional Austrian and German Christmas market style. So vendors, booths, food, music, activities, and it's going to run the entire time that we're there. There will be other Christmas markets that pop up for a day here and there in Florence. Those schedules have not yet been released, but we will definitely go by them when they get released. Um, but this one is the biggest and kind of the most, when you think of a European Christmas market, this is what you think of. Lots of things to purchase, lots of things to eat, lots of things to do. And one of my favorite churches in all of Florence, Santa Croce. So fantastic. I'm excited about this. I've never actually been to this particular Christmas market in Florence. I've been to some of the other ones, but not this one. So super excited about that.
Oh, and
Oh, look, there he is.
here's our
Okay,
David.
there he is. Oh, we should have put a warning, naked man in slideshow. Um, sorry, y'all. I'm gonna do kind of when we get there, we're gonna kind of do like a little walking orientation. So you can get the lay of the land, and that'll be, I mean, I can't help myself but talk to you about the history of the place and what you're looking at. So you could put your earbuds in if you're not interested, you just want to walk around. But I'm just gonna talk because that's what I do. Um, and we're gonna do a little walking tour, talk about the history of Florence. We are going to visit the academia on one morning. I'm hoping that we can get the first entry, because if you can get the first entry, it'll be an early morning, but you will literally have him to yourself. Um,
Yeah, I think we've arranged that. So
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. I've been there at all different times. And that's been my, to walk in there and nobody else be in there is really kind of special. And we'll talk about Michelangelo, and we'll talk about the significance of this sculpture and the other sculptures in the space. It's in a museum called the Academia, which is a fully functioning school still today. Um, and then let's see what else um, should we be talking about there. That pizza, we're gonna have that. That's gonna be yummy. Uh, Not in front of David, though. That's not gonna happen there yet. All right. Yeah.
okay. Oh, yes.
Sure. Yes. We're doing the wine tour that I suggested?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect. This one, so obviously when you're in Tuscany, there's a million different winery tours. And you can go to really big ones and you can go to 3 or 4 in a day. And personally, I have done a lot of those, a lot of different ones, because it seems like every time somebody comes to visit me while I'm there, they want to do a winery tour, which is great. I love wine, don't get me wrong. Um, so I did this one a couple of years ago. And it was really one of the most special ones. We're gonna meet at a location. We're gonna get in a van. We're gonna drive out to a medieval town, where you're going to go in this very small winery. It's going to look very small from the outside, but all of their barrels and all of their production is underground in, I think they predate the Middle Ages, catacombs underground and tunnels underground. The temperature is going to, it's going to be cool. It's going to be lovely. And then it's still family owned and family run. The son runs it, or the grandson runs it. The wife is going to cook us lunch. It's going to be a traditional Tuscan lunch with wine tasting. Um, it's just going to be a really kind of intimate experience, as opposed to the larger, which are equally fantastic wineries, but this is more of an intimate experience. The wine is outstanding. Um, I only shipped 18 bottles home this year. Something wrong with that. But I'll make up for it in December, I'm sure. And then gelato. This is something I am an expert in. I will admit this openly and freely. I know all of the best gelato spots in Florence. And I I don't know how y'all feel about gelato. I don't care if it's 50 degrees outside. And I don't care if I had gelato already once that day. So, but I'll point them out and I'll tell you what flavors they're known for and why they're special in this particular place. And you'll have the best of the best. Years of taste testing. I suffered for y'all.
For yours.
Years of suffering. Fresco class. The only thing to think about with the fresco class is all the materials are going to be there. Everything's going to be ready for you. If there's a specific image or something that you want to reproduce, maybe bring it with you. Other than that, you can pull something up on your phone, or there are magazines and books all around that you can look at. I never know what I'm going to do until I get there. So I'm always like, when am I going to do it? And then I get there and I'm like, oh, let's just do that. And this is about, it's 3 to 4 hours. The person who is going to lead us through the class is a friend of mine, and he's not going to kick us out. So it's as long as it takes. And he's wonderful. He's an expat from London, and he worked as a professional fresco restorer in Florence for many, many years. So his depth of knowledge is incredible. Antiques and artisans will pop over to the other side of the river called Oltrano, which means other side of the river. And that's where all of the artisan shops are. That's where the custom bespoke Italian suits, the custom shoes, the jewelry, the little independent artisans making their one thing that they've made for hundreds of years. That's where all the antique stores are. And as you can probably guess, when the Italians say antiques, they're talking about like really, 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 really old. Um, and they ship anywhere in the world, in case you're wondering. But it's cool to walk through them. It's cool to see these artisans. There's a ton of vintage shops over there. And because Florence is the house of so many very well-known, or the home of so many very well-known fashion houses, it'll be like vintage Gucci and vintage Ferragamo and, just really fantastic. I love all forms of art and creativity, so I love to look at these things. I love to wander through these places, and even if I'm not going to, you know, uh, patronize these places, the artisans are always very happy to talk to you about their craft. And I will have a couple that we will have reached out to ahead of time, and a printmaking studio that's run and owned by women. We'll have reached out to them ahead of time, and hopefully we can get a tour scheduled with them. If not, you can walk through it. It's a self-guided tour. So that's going to be a really fun day of just kind of exploring the other side of the river, less touristy, more local, but really magnificent. Yeah. Okay, then we're going to go on a little road trip. So Siena and San Gimignano. Say that 10 times fast. So this is a full day. It'll be a nice longish day, but it'll be worth it. We're going to head out from Florence and head to Siena, and Siena is kind of the adversary of Florence throughout history. They were at war with one another for the majority of history. If you ask the Sienese about the Florentines, they're going to like roll their eyes. Same's going to happen in Florence. But Siena is an amazingly wonderful medieval and Renaissance town that is it's about the same size as Florence, maybe a little smaller. It's very walkable. It's very unique. The photo on the right is their city hall, and around the other side of the city hall is the cathedral. And it's probably nobody ever walks into that cathedral and goes, "Oh, I could have skipped that." It's phenomenal. And we are going to go into the cathedral. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of the cathedral and what makes it so special. And then we're going to have lunch at a really fantastic little restaurant in Siena. And then you'll have some time to wander around and explore on your own. These cities are so great because it's almost impossible to get lost in them. And then we'll meet our driver, and we will head to what's they call it Sanji, because San Gimignano is not easy to say. We'll head to Sanji. Sanji is going to be about 45 minutes away from Siena, and it is famous for its towers. All of these medieval towns had these towers. If you were a wealthy family, you built a tower on the top of next to your house. And most of the towers don't exist anymore, but Sanji has the majority of the towers the most towers that still exist. It's on the top of a hill. It's small and quaint and lovely. In addition to having beautiful architecture and fabulous towers, it has two of the world's best gelato shops. Literally award-winning. Every year when Michelle and Barack went to Italy, they went to this gelato shop. Like they're really, really wonderful. It's a great place to buy olive wood things. It's a great place to eat gelato. It's a great place to just spend a little bit of time wandering around. And then we will hop back with our driver and head back into Florence. Gilding.
Yeah, this is the last day, right? I think.
Yes. Yes. So gilding means to cover in gold. Pretty straightforward. And it has been a traditional artisan practice since the Middle Ages. And we are going to learn about the history of the process, and then we're going to actually gild a small object that'll be there for us to choose from. When I went by this summer, they had little boxes that you could gild, or these little cute, like, I don't know, maybe like that big little angels. Like they have a couple of different things that you can choose from, and then we're going to learn that process and gild. And we will be using, I believe we'll be using 14 karat gold leaf to do that.
Wow.
It's a super fun thing to learn, and if anything teaches you to let go of your control issues, gilding will do that for you. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's Helen Frankenthaler, right?
Yes. Yes. And then Helen Frankenthaler. Yay.
That's the
Um,
we'll go.
yeah, Helen Frankenthaler was a mid-20th century abstract expressionist um, in the school of Jackson, Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning, if you know who they were, or Mark Rothko, and she was one of the rare women kind of asserting her importance at this particular time. Her paintings are journeys. They're based upon memories and experiences, and she revolutionized the process in painting, which I can talk more about when we're there. But she's a really important figure, just in the history of art, but especially as women um, started to assert their place in the art world. So
And it just was she's American, correct? But it just so happens
yes.
it's a major exhibition of her work.
Yeah, it's at the Strozzi Palace, which is a museum in the center of Florence, literally like I think a 2-minute walk from our hotel. And they show what they like to do at this museum, which is I love this so much. I love everything. You're like, why does she love everything? Because she really does love everything. Um, they like to take a contemporary artist and place their work in the context of the history of art.
Hmm.
So there was a show several years that I saw that was a video artist, a contemporary LA-based video artist, and he was asked. Now she is deceased, so this will be a little bit different. But he was asked to choose certain paintings from the 16th century that really resonated with him and that were in Italy, and then make videos that responded to them. And then the exhibition was the actual painting that he was responding to, and then his video next to it. So I will be interested to see how they place her in this context. So it'll be really fantastic, because that's kind of what they specialize in, is taking a contemporary artist and then relating them back to most of the contemporary art you see in Italy does this. I just saw a de Kooning show in Venice, and it was de Kooning in Venice. I didn't even know he lived in Venice for a while. So it's really it's I find it spectacular, because you can see the continuity, and you can see how much has changed and how little has changed at the same time. So I find it fascinating. Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
But
Yay.
my name, we put me here because all your, well, Marcy, maybe Marcy should be here, Marcy, our travel manager. But anyway, this is for, getting questions to us or anything about this trip is through me or Marcy. So anyway, so now you don't have to
So,
see, now you don't have to see my messy screen anymore. But this is when I thank you so much, Shannon. You really have added to my understanding of the trip as well, just the way you talk about it. So I wanted to see what kind of actually put up your hand. I know that many of you have already signed up. There's a few of you who have not signed up yet. Can you raise your hand, electronically if you know how to do it, or in actuality, if you are already signed up on the trip. I mean, if you registered. So there's Tammy, I know Emily, Tanya and Lisa and MB. I mean, what's your, Mir Ponzo. Okay, yeah. So the ones who haven't yet signed up are Julie and Wendy. I can't see you, so I don't know if you're on the list. I'll double check. And that's Amy. There's Merritt. Okay, great. So most of you are actually on the trip. So I see you, Merritt, as well, and Amy. so this is, usually we do these sessions when people are still considering the trip, but we did have a lot of interest, and so this trip sold out even before we got to this. So I'm sorry for anybody who is not able to, hasn't signed up yet. It is sold out, but we did write you an email. I hope you got that, saying that it was getting close to selling out. So I wanted to make sure that everybody had an equal opportunity to sign up. So I gave everybody the heads up. But if you are listening to Shannon and you're like, damn, I want to go, you can join the wait list, because sometimes things happen, and we will do it again in 2025. I'm sure because I know it, Shannon's fabulous. And Shannon's also going to do a trip for us in Bologna in March of next year. And she and I went with another friend to Bologna in May. And I didn't even know this, but Bologna is the culinary center of Italy. I had no idea. I thought every town was the culinary center of Italy. I thought any restaurant is I didn't know that of Italy, which seems like the culinary center of the world, there is actually a place it's considered the primo for all food. So we're going to be doing that. So what I'm saying to you is there's lots of opportunities. So even if you're on here and you're not signed up, we're gonna get you on one of these trips, because they're good. So let's just see what you can put your hands down, because maybe you want to use it to ask a question. So are there questions at this point? What, you like my teacher thing?
Yeah. No.
Anybody have a question for Shannon?
Merritt has a question. Yeah.
Merritt.
Well, this isn't a question for Shannon, and the trip sounds fantastic. I'm just wondering how the wait list works, because I went to sign up on the day I got the email that there are only 2 spots left and it was sold out. So I got on the wait list, I believe.
Oh.
This would be my first trip with you, and I've been looking at your trips for a couple of years, but finally decided to go on this one, and it wasn't available last second.
Well,
good news, bad news, right?
Yeah, good news. I know, I'm sorry, but that's why I did want to, as soon as I saw that it was getting close, I said, we better, because some people do wait till after the info session to sign up, and I wanted.
That's what I was doing, but then, yeah.
So, the way the wait list works is we will, if somebody has to pull out, and this does happen because, we've all got busy lives, we have obligations, things do happen. We will look at the wait list, and usually how the wait list works is, I don't know if you put it, you'd be happy with any package, because usually if it, I don't know if that's what you wrote, but if
It is.
okay, well then we'll see what has come up. If somebody who was a double had to pull out, then we'll call you and ask you if you want it. And Jeannie Edmonds, I'll introduce Jeannie Edmonds. She's our Chief Operating Officer, but we noticed that it does happen on one or two people on a trip end up having something else. So it's not out of this question that
it does happen, but in order to get the best priority on the wait list, lifetime members come first, then members, then non-members. So no matter when you sign up, lifetime members and members, and membership is only $39. So I don't know if you're a member or not, but it's probably worth it if you want to get a higher position on the wait list.
For membership, I don't know what lifetime membership is, but
lifetime is, if you're a member, that's fine. Lifetime member is $4.99 now. Is that right, Jeannie? So it's $499. You never have to pay again. You just pay once, and then you get the first notification of every trip that goes out, and then a week later the members get it, and then a week after that it goes. We promote it to the public. So if you're a member, you're in a good position. And we did, honestly, we never know what's going to happen. I mean, these bookings come in, and I'm so sorry that you weren't able to make it on this one. But honestly, if you don't get on it, What a great trip this looks like, Shannon. Holy cow. I can't believe I have to like duke Judy out to like go on this trip. I would love to go on this trip. But if we don't, I guess, Jeannie, you do have, is that in the group that we're doing next year? We assume, right? In the group of trips for
Oh, yeah,
2025?
I put it down as, I mean, as, I put
Okay.
it down on our 2025 schedule.
So if you don't get to do it this year and you really want to do this trip, jump in there for next year the minute we set it up. And also we have other great trips as well. But I'll tell you, somebody just dropped out of Paris fall today. So and Paris comes up before this trip. So this happens, outside of the 60-day window, sometimes people will drop out, because within 60 days, then you lose the money. So sometimes people do, for whatever reason, have to drop out before then. So
Okay, thank you.
don't
And
lose
Shannon-
hope.
And Shannon also is the co-leader of our creativity retreat in Umbria in May. So she's your Italian gal, man. She has got it.
That's another wonderful trip, actually. And doesn't it go to some of the same restaurants or some?
No,
Oh, it
it's-
doesn't? Okay, it's
It's in
different.
Umbria. I mean,
Totally
we're
different
We're
area.
close
Okay.
to Tuscany, but
Okay.
it's very
All right.
it's similar, but Tuscany's a little quieter. And so it's actually during the May, which is, very crowded in Tuscany. It's a little less crowded in Umbria. So,
Yeah.
okay. And any other question? Wendy, you said you have not signed up again. I mean, you have not been able to sign up? Not yet. Okay. Oh, and Wendy, you're so funny. Wendy said
Yeah.
she'll bring David a pair of
I didn't
panties.
know. Sorry. Yeah, no, I didn't get to sign up. I got the email too, and I was going to sign up and I missed it. So, yeah, next year, I'm looking at it. Will it be on the same dates?
It'll be similar time. It'll be similar, because also Shannon does teach at a university, so we have to be mindful of when she's available. But I think we've kind of, whenever she can get away from finish her teaching obligations, we'll get her on.
Job.
It's just
What's
a
that?
job. Shannon, where do you teach?
I teach at Texas State University. I'm associate professor of art history.
Oh, wonderful. I was hoping you're closer to California. I was going to ask you
I
to do
lived in California for a long time. I taught in Orange County.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in San Diego. I was wondering,
Yeah.
do you do public speaking classes?
Do I do what?
Public classes?
No, I mean, no, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I lived in San Diego, lived in Encinitas.
Oh, yeah, I'm in Escondido.
Excellent, excellent.
Mhm.
I think Amy had a question and Tammy had a question.
Oh, Amy, yes. Did we lose Amy? Oh, there you are. Amy, you need to unmute. There
Yeah,
you go.
here I am. I was going to see if it'd be possible to get a list of the attendees prior to when we go, closer to December. And maybe flight schedules to see if we could accommodate
Yes,
everybody flying together.
So what we do here at Next Tribe is that we have several ways to try to encourage people, to help people talk to each other before the trip. One is we have something called Tribe Social, which is it's like a online for members where we'll have a group for this trip where you can chat and just get to know people, and it's very, it's private. We will have a meet and greet maybe 3 weeks to a month before the trip, so people will, you can be chatting more. Then the questions might be more specific because you're about ready to go. And Marcy Mitchell, our travel manager, will be sending out forms for like get your flights, and then she'll share those flights with everyone, so that you're able to see who's going and and coordinate with people. So, and then we have a WhatsApp text group that we form right before the trip. so that, because that we use that when we're on the ground to communicate, like, okay, we're meeting at, we've changed the meeting time by 15 minutes or something, and everybody needs to know. So we'll be asking you to please get an international plan so you can receive the text on WhatsApp, and you can use your GPS to, because I should just say, for especially for people who haven't traveled with us before, so we like to keep things a little bit loose, meaning Shannon is not going to be walking with a flag and an umbrella or in front of you. And my feeling is that all of us are grown women, and we can we can figure, we've taken care of ourselves. And that means that if you say Shannon has something planned in the morning and you're not feeling up to it or whatever, she can tell you the address of where you're going to eat lunch or something. I'm just making this up, but something like that. You can take that address, you put it in your phone, and you can find your way there. That gives everybody some flexibility, so it's not so regimented, especially because if we're basing in one city, there's a lot of flexibility, and I like that. I like to keep it that way because I know that not everybody's going to want to see the same thing. Maybe some people want to do more shopping. Some people want to do more museums. There's some room in there. And also I would suggest if there's things that you want to see in Florence that aren't on the itinerary, to come a day early, stay a day later, and get your fill while you're there. But I've, Shannon and I've talked about this. It's not your best use of her time or your time with her to go to something like that everybody can see easily, without her expertise. Does that make sense? Like, it's already on the main tourist track. So, but you'll have plenty of chances to communicate before you actually land in Italy.
Can I ask one more question? For additional spending money, am I correct that we just need money for wine and shopping? Or are there other tickets and admissions that we need to take care of?
No, most everything's covered, but I mean, I don't think I think most everything is covered on this trip, like,
Tips.
What's that?
Tips.
Oh yeah, tips.
Oh, thank you.
Tips would be, but when we have our meet and greet, like a month in advance, 3 weeks to a month in advance, we can talk specifically, like suggesting how much money to bring and that kind of thing. So, just to make
You
sure.
like to shop, Amy?
Does she
I've
like
been ready to spend some money.
Yeah, okay. I have the most amazing leather guy. Oh, you're gonna love him.
And I have to say, I was with Shannon, and I think Shannon, I think you're a great shopper, man. She finds the great stuff. I have to say.
I'm from a long lane of great shoppers.
I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. Now, who else had a question?
Tammy.
No,
Tammy.
it's okay. It's okay. I'm trying to get the hand off of it because you
Oh.
said you would talk about tips. I'm in an airport during a storm, that's why I get kicked off occasionally. But
Okay. That's okay.
but I you said you would talk about it later, so I'm good with waiting.
Okay. So, and there's, I didn't say hi to Christine. Lisa Bouchou climbed a 14er with us with Next Try last summer. How are you, Lisa? Oops. Now, what happened to you?
I
Oh,
hit
there you are.
unmute.
Okay. Good to
I'm
see
good,
you.
thanks.
And so we have a few people who've already traveled with Next Tribe, and then a lot of you are first timers, and we're so happy. We're just so happy you're going to come with us. And we really want to make things fun for you. And
I ain't kill nobody. I ain't kill nobody, Judge. I
Okay.
ain't kill nobody. See, I ain't kill nobody.
okay, that was weird.
You got Zoom bombed.
Well, that was the most mild Zoom bombing we've done. We've had Zoom
Oh.
bombing where I'm just gonna make you laugh because we were gonna Zoom bomb where somebody came in and for some reason they got control of the screen and they were drawing penises. So on the screen. So anyway, I was like, but we didn't need to draw any pieces. We had David. We already saw our film.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Maybe when we're looking at David, one of you will be gutsy enough to ask me the question that none of my students ever feel like they can ask.
what is that?
The question about his, assets.
Oh, is that
Yeah, his assets. And I wanted to say too, if there's a museum or something that you're interested in going to that's not on our list, if you haven't been to Florence before, I'm happy to give you a short list of places we're checking out. I also have a couple of favorite places that aren't heavily touristed museum wise and are wonderful. And in my free time, I will probably drop into those and you're welcome to follow me around. But sometimes it can be a lot of art and some people are not always like, I don't want that much art. I don't know who those people are, but I hear they exist. So yeah, you do have a lot of time where you can wander and shop on your own, and but also if there's something you want to go into, the entrance won't be covered, but we're talking about like €6, to get into some places. The only one that I would say absolutely not is the Uffizi, because Uffizi for me is a 3-day thing. So Uffizi is not a 2-hour. It's just not. I can't do it. Don't ask me to do it. I can't do it.
So what
yeah.
if anybody does want to do the Uffizi, would you advise them to come?
Yeah.
Like come a couple days early or
okay,
what?
so no. You don't have to. I think if when the itinerary kind of gets more solidified, I think a couple of things. If they're still doing it in the fall, they were open till 10 p.m. on Thursday nights this summer. I went just because I'm a total nut. I went on my free time after teaching all day at 6 p.m. and there was nobody in there and it was amazing. So if they hold those hours through the fall, I would recommend that. You can pick up an audio tour for a couple of extra bucks and it gives you like a highlights and you can do it in a couple of hours. And you'll say, okay, I saw the birth of Venus. You'll check all the boxes for sure.
So it's for you, if you do it, you want 3 days to do it. So because of interest level, but if somebody on this trip here who wants to see the highlights, it's doable in a couple
Do it
hours.
in a couple of hours, pick up the audio tour so that you'll kind of have a little bit of information about what you're looking at, and it will literally just take you to the most famous things and that's great. It's still an amazing museum. Yeah,
That's
highly recommend. Highly recommend. Yeah.
Very good. Anything else, Christine? How are you? Christine Foley. She and Emily were Machu Picchu hikers last time we did it. So anyway.
I'm great. I'm doing well. Looking forward to this trip.
Great. I'm
going to point out all the really tall hills for you to hike up to while we're there.
And there's probably lots of steps. There's probably lots of steps, right? If you want to practice for another hike, Emily and Christine.
That might be the only hike with steps, but yeah.
Can I ask how many of you have been to Florence? Anybody?
Oh yeah, long time
Okay.
ago.
Okay, cool. Did you love it? Is that why you want to go back?
Loved it. It was a long time ago. It just sounded fun. I've been to what do you call it? Sanji. Yeah, because we could never say it. San Gimignano is I think what we always and they do have the best gelato. We had a day that I'll still remember this. It was such a long time ago, but we called it the Tre Limone Day because we had lemon gelato 3 times that day. So.
My kind of girl right there.
I have to have ice cream every place I go. Emily knows this. You have to try it everywhere just to make sure that you're not missing the best ice cream.
And I learned from Shannon and Jen, our other Umbria leader, that you can, the best places for gelato are what? Not the places where they're piled high. Right, Shannon? Where it's the ones that are
perfect. And that's correct, Jeannie. And we'll do, just by the nature of being in Florence, we'll do a lot of like cultural, this is how you order coffee. You don't drink this after 11 a.m. and a lot you don't have to abide by any of those things. I'm just going to tell you what the Italians do, and and how the Italians live, and what they would eat in what order, and what they would drink in what order, and how, so that you can just get an idea of like how that culture works. And again, you don't have to. I've been known to have a cappuccino at 2 p.m. They didn't kick me out of the country. So, there'll be a lot of like, this is why you don't want this gelato, and this is why you want there'll be a lot of that just by nature of learning to be in the country and learning to be an engaged person, and not take, your culture to that culture, but be in that culture for a little bit, which is how I believe we should experience Florence if we can. Yeah, they said they did. I read something somewhere said they don't drink wine with pizza. I'm like, that's not happening for me. So yeah.
I remember that the wine was cheaper than the water when you went to the market. That was so just always drank wine. I tried to have prosciutto every day too. When I'm there, and I became a huge fan of Chingali.
Yeah, Chingali, they're yummy, aren't they? And in the fall and the winter, oh.
What are Chingali? I don't even know what that is.
Wild boar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and the wine is cheaper than water, and the house wine is better than any wine you're ever going to buy here in the States in a grocery store. They just do it right when it comes to food and wine. Yeah, and I saw none of you have any kind of eating, allergies, so that's fantastic. Yeah.
And if you do, Marcy, our travel manager, will be keeping track of it, and we will. Most restaurants are able to pivot or
absolutely. Yeah,
so.
they have definitely. I mean, Florence has definitely accommodated the tourist industry, for sure, in many ways. Yeah. So you can get free pasta, but if you don't have to.
Is there a good guidebook you could recommend, or anything that would give me need to know information that I probably don't know?
I can find something for you.
The other thing that we're starting to do more of is to recommend any books that you might want to read. Do you have any? I mean, this is like novels or whatever. I mean, I always think of Room with a View.
Right. Perfectly. Yeah. I see you think of Room with a View, and I think of Death in Florence. Which is
it Death in Florence? I thought it was Death in Venice.
Death in Florence is a nonfiction though, so I don't know how many of you read nonfiction, and it's about this one particular character that lived. His name was Savonarola, and he was a Dominican friar. And it has to do with the power of the Medici and the politics during that time period, and the corrupt papacy, and it's fascinating. But it's not, it's not a fiction book. Room with a View is lovely. I can put a little list together. I mean, I'll put some fiction, some nonfiction, and I'll find a guide that I agree with that's easy and digestible.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I'll be giving you a lot of that just by the nature of, being there with me. Yeah, I mean, they're just, it's things like
I don't want to be the ugly American.
No,
you
no,
won't be. Oh my God.
no, none of you are going to be. No, that's not going to happen. No, but there's little things like, you don't, you how do you order coffee? You pay at the register, and then you take the ticket to the counter, and those little things that you wouldn't know, just, and you don't sit down. Oh my gosh, by all means, you don't sit, or you get charged to sit, like things like that. I'll be telling you just so you don't get caught, why is this extra €5 on here? Oh, you sat.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But sometimes I'm like, I just want to sit, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
And no, and Lori, I think the fact that you even said, I don't want to be an ugly American, means that you will never be an ugly American, because just the idea that you're cognizant of that, I I'm sure you won't be. So anyway,
Well, it
but,
would be inadvertent, but it would be possible.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's gonna be, you're gonna get a lot of that just because I can't help myself.
but
You
also,
can listen to it and, immerse it or not. Either way, you're gonna have an amazing time. It's gonna be amazing. But there are a lot of little, cultural things that, that are worth knowing. Yeah.
yeah,
Especially, I mean, and Amy was talking about shopping and cash. We will talk about that more, but in the markets, you're always going to get a better deal for cash. If you've traveled at all, that's just the world, right? So,
Yeah.
but there are safe ATMs. I will point the safe ATMs out to you. You don't want to use the one, you don't want to use the one in the middle of the street that's facing the street, and you don't want to use the train station, but there are safe ones and all that stuff. I'll be just throwing up all over the place.
All right.
Yeah.
well, I think this has been great. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, just meeting all of you and introducing Shannon. So if you are on the wait list, just keep, being attentive, and we'll be in touch if anything changes. If you've already signed up, we'll be in touch as we roll along with forms for your flights and getting that coordinated. And if you haven't signed up, if you haven't been able to sign up, please look at we have other Italy trips, and the Bologna trip will probably be out in the next couple of weeks. I'm just getting that nailed down, and we'll see you somewhere along the line. I just feel sure of it. So I hope so.
I have one,
Yes.
I have one
Yes.
question. So, about the flights, are you gonna tell us what time we need to be there on the 13th?
Yes. Yeah, usually it'll be, I think it's probably mid-afternoon that you'll start something. So most
Okay.
flights, I to be honest, I haven't looked at the flights that come into Florence. A lot of time, I don't know what you do, Shannon. Do you usually fly into Rome and take the train, or do you do the?
So I've done both. This is going to sound, well, it is what it is. If I'm paying for it myself, I fly into Rome and take the train. If somebody else is paying for it, I fly into Florence because it's just easier, but it's a little bit more expensive. If you're flying into Florence, you're going to get there between 2 and 5 in the afternoon,
Yeah.
depending on where you fly through. If you fly into Rome, you're going to get there at 8 and 9 in the morning, usually. And then you're going to hop on a direct train that's about an hour, 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours. Super easy to do from Rome. Milan is a little more challenging. The train station is not easily connected to the airport in Milan. Unless you're really adventurous, I wouldn't suggest going that route. Yes, Tanya.
Hi, Tonya. I was just gonna say, I don't know if anyone else is traveling from the Boston airport, but they had a flight that was direct to Rome and then a flight to Florence, which was only like an extra $40. So
Oh,
Oh,
That's perfect.
huh.
Yeah, probably like Vueling or Ryanair or EasyJet or one of those, right?
it was ITA.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
yeah. So, and as you move along and start making reservations again, usually Marcy is on these calls, so you get to see her face, but she wasn't able today. So, but she'll be your point person for that kind of thing, like flights and the nitty gritty, some logistics and so forth. And anything for Shannon, if you have a question for Shannon, you can let Marcy know, and she'll get in touch with Shannon. So we'll make sure you feel comfortable. By the time the trip rolls around, you'll have so much time to ask questions and get to know other people who are going to be on the trip. So
Yeah. And I think we talked about this, but as soon as my flight's booked, we'll definitely post that information. I just briefly looked at them to just see times because we were trying to plan dinner that first night and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that, that was going to work. But yeah, we'll have all that information. I do that with my college students too. Sometimes not like y'all, but sometimes they don't know, and have never traveled abroad. And so they want my flight information, which is perfectly fine.
yeah, that's a good thing. That'll be a good way to start with the flights when you get yours. So Anyway, but thanks all of you, and more to come. And I just can't wait to meet all of you in person. And not on this trip, you know, I'm not on this trip, but on some trip down the line, I'm sure I will meet you.
It's going to be wonderful. I can't wait to see you all in Florence.
Thank
right.
you so
Where's the
much.
recording of this
We're
gonna be
excited.
posted?
Oh, yes, we'll get, Marcy's just getting back from a trip, so probably tomorrow or Wednesday, we'll get the recording, edited and up on YouTube, and then we'll send a link out to everybody. All right. Everyone,
you.
Thank
have a
you.
good evening.
Thank you.
you too.
Bye-bye.